Lawmakers could soon make telehealth a permanent part of Missouri's healthcare system. Missouri Capitol Bureau Chief Joe McLean is in Jefferson City with more.
The bill being debated today would essentially limit the state's ability to restrict what types of platforms medical providers can use to deliver telehealth services. The main concern with this policy is when we're talking about doctor's visits over the phone, where there's no face-to-face or video contact, just voices.
What drove this massively was that during the what we call the pandemic time, where people were more isolated, and they were kind of forced to use this.
But it was clear to providers, patients, and payers that telehealth services offer many benefits and fewer barriers for Missourians with more limited access. Bolivar Republican Mike Stevens is sponsoring the bill in the House, which would enshrine providers' ability to offer telehealth into law.
Especially mental health care is where it seems to have its greatest benefit.
Tamitha Ague, representing Missouri Psychological Association, says telehealth also provides people a way to seek mental health care they need when they otherwise wouldn't.
Because the stigma of walking into a brick and mortar, a lot of people will say, someone saw me possibly walk into that particular building, and we know what that building provides a service for.
Opponents are concerned the policy will prevent medical providers from having eyes on their patient, which may open the door to malpractice. But sponsors point out that the law only provides phone call visits as an option, not as a requirement.
This allows for the practitioner to be able to speak to the client or the patient and say, this is a little bit more in depth and in detail than we can actually talk over the phone with. So I'm going to go ahead and schedule an appointment for us to actually see each other face to face.
This law would still have to comply with all the regulations of the federal patient privacy law, HIPAA. In Jefferson City, Joe McLean, WGEM News.